been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, thank you guys for coming back today. We have Jameer Thurman on the phone with us, XFL player, great player. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
We hope you and your family are staying safe. Just out of curiosity, what do you do with your time during this whole COVID-19 experience?
I've been trying to find different ways to work out in the house, outside at parks that aren't pretty full, reading, and doing some yoga and stuff like that.
I don't know how it is where you're at, but recently here, actually, they made it mandatory now that we have to wear masks, and it's just every time that we walk around, I say it's almost like we're in like one of those movies you see. It's just something you never have experienced or thought that would happen in this world.
Yeah, no, they're trying to mandate it for us going in stores and stuff. But usually when I go out to the park or something, it's not a lot of people out there. I don't really have to wear a mask. It's not mandatory, but they're trying to make people wear it just in case.
Now you're not like Tom Brady. You're not jumping fences down there and getting in trouble for being at the park, are you?
The crazy thing is today I just got back and I thought about it at my high school, hopping the fence, because usually it was open and this week they closed it for some reason. So I was gonna hop the fence, but I had my little sister with me, so we just went to a different park.
Now, as someone who played football and us being big sports fans, it's tough, right? Not being able just to turn on some TV and just watch any type of sports at this point.
Yeah.
It's a lot of highlights that I've been watching.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Luckily I got some games recorded that I played in the past. And then, it's just been really Netflix and Hulu, really, pretty much watching some shows and stuff. That's pretty much it.
Now, just out of curiosity, do you break down a lot of your film during this time of quarantine, since you have that time to really sit down and like watch yourself and train a little harder?
I mean, as much film as I can get my hands on, I'll try to watch it and see what I can work on and do differently and all that. But also, it just feels good to watch actual sports too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a main thing that I'm doing right now because I don't have as much film available to me. But if there's a game on that I was playing in that they rerun or show on TV, or we got something recorded, I'll go and watch and see how I did and what I could have did differently.
Now, Jameer, you have a taste of the NFL, and what do you feel like the NFL is looking for? Because I mean, I looked at your stats for the CFL where you won the Grey Cup champion.
Yeah.
You played in the XFL, even in college. I mean, your numbers were, like above average. I mean, you were having great seasons.
And I just got to say something too. Not even just because you're on this podcast. We do our homework on everyone we get on. And I remember I looked at my dad and I said, you look at the tape on this guy. How is he not in there right now?
Yeah, what are they seeing that we don't see?
We're not trying to toot your horn or anything either. We were just
no. I mean, I feel the same way you guys do. I feel like there's a lot of tape out there on me doing a lot of good things. So I mean, coming out of college, I mean, I played in the Missouri Valley, which is a tough FCS conference, but it was still small school, so I had that going against me a little bit in that regards. And then I just went up to the CFL and proved myself up there, So, but yeah, after I really don't know. I can't really give you an answer on what the NFL is looking for. I mean, of course they love the size, they love the big name guys and all that stuff, but.
Dude, and you're like a ball magnet. I mean, you have more interceptions than half the Dallas Cowboys staff. I mean, I mean Byron Jones. I think he has like 2 interceptions in the last 4 years, and I think you had that in one season.
I mean, it's just I honestly don't know. I mean, with the NFL, you never know what they're looking for and different type of people they want for their different schemes. So it's hard. It's hard, especially when you've made plays on the field and you see other guys getting signed and stuff like that. it makes you wonder, but at the same time, you just gotta be positive and control what you
Absolutely.
can control, really.
And now you got to taste the XFL. So as a player who's experienced that, we talk about all the time in the podcast how we feel it would be right for the NFL to have almost like a minor league system that you can get time and film on your hands so these coaches can get more looks at people. Do you agree with that? Like almost like a minor league system?
I felt like the XFL was going to be around for a while, and it was basically its own thing, but it kind of was a minor league system because everybody in the whole league knew that guys are in this league to try to get back to the NFL. So it was already that mindset of what it was, but it was also its own separate thing because it wasn't affiliated with nothing in the NFL. That's why I really liked the XFL because it was ran on its own rules and it wasn't mandated by the NFL. I definitely think that it was something great that could have been something great for a very long time, and it's just unfortunate that it had to end the way it did.
Yeah, I mean, we had Colin Thompson on like a week and a half ago, and he was talking about how on a Sunday they had over 15,000 fans in the seats. I mean, that's really impressive. But
especially for it being the first league, first year league too.
Yeah, we always talked about, no matter what league is created, it's obviously not going to live up to the NFL.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
But for us here, we have a minor league field maybe 15 minutes from us. You still go, you still watch games because you get to see these prospects, these people who are fighting for a second chance. So we even talked about, unfortunately the XFL, what it's going through right now, it'd be smart if the NFL could purchase it and have their players who aren't starting, go and play some games, give us some film.
Well, let's face it, the NFL is about making money. I mean, now is the best time. They could buy and pick up where the XFL left off. And use it. I mean, you figure 200 plus guys get drafted every year.
Yep.
I mean, the guys that don't get drafted are the players that get released. They need a place to go play. Mm-hmm. And I think if they look at the whole overall spectrum of the whole thing, this would actually benefit the NFL because you can send guys down to get some reps. I mean, how many reps do guys get on the practice squad?
None. They don't play in the games, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in practice they get a ton. I mean, it depends on, they get a ton of reps, but they don't get any game type reps. Like they're going against the same guys, doing different schemes for other teams for their team every week. So it's not like they're working on they're working on their craft, but it's for other teams.
Yeah.
So your team can get an advantage. So it's they don't really get reps at all, really.
Now, see, the XFL, I liked it. I liked the rules. I think it was more interesting how the fans can actually get a taste of what goes on behind the scenes. Even when the referees were reviewing plays, you could hear what was going on, which I think the NFL should adapt some of that stuff.
There's some really good rules in there, absolutely.
I think the NFL is going to kind of try to control as much as they can, and in that aspect, a lot of things can get said that the NFL probably don't want out, and they're all about control and making sure they have their environment on what they want it to be. In the XFL, they just let us go out there, and they wanted all that. They wanted the fans' interaction as best as they could. So and with the media, everybody loved the XFL because of the media access that it gave the fans and media people. So, I mean, as players, it was different for us because that's not something we're used to. But I felt like it was something positive out of it in the 5 games that we had.
Yeah, and did you enjoy some of those new rule changes that they had? I mean, being the first time for these players like you to actually experience some of those changes, like the kickoffs, the punts.
Yeah.
Did you?
Go ahead. I definitely enjoyed the kickoff part because it's different running down there on kickoff and then going on a defensive play, defensive series right after that. That takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, I bet.
But
less injuries too.
The kickoff return, definitely, I definitely like this. I mean, people think that it's going to be big returns, but I mean, you really got to make 2 guys miss. And then, but it rarely happens because it's so short of a field that you really don't have that much room to go anywhere. Unfortunately, it was one that got ran back, but yeah, that's one of the main things that I liked of the league: the short kickoff and kickoff return for sure.
Well, Jameer, on offense, the quarterback is the general of everything that goes on the offensive side. On defense, it's the linebacker. How tough is that? Because you're basically controlling of what goes on, what formations to be in, and trying to move guys around before that play snapped.
Yeah, it was tough with the mics and the helmet as well for us because the coaches were in our ears the entire time. It didn't turn off. So we're trying to make adjustments and get guys lined in the right place, and they're still talking in our ear trying to tell us stuff to do. And it was weird for me because I'm like, I haven't had anybody ever do that like to me in a game before. I mean, yeah, we hear it in the beginning, but after that, it cuts off.
Yeah.
So it was a little different experience, and but if you're in the playbook and you know what you have, you know where everybody's lined up, that makes your job easier. So I took pride in that and making sure I knew that. So when I was out there during the game, I already knew where my help was and where people were supposed to be, so I can play faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, how tough, sitting at home watching football on the couch, it's easy to be the guy that says, man, I can't believe you missed that tackle. How tough is it actually realizing where the ball is when you're standing behind all those big guys in front of you? Not saying that you're not big, but you got wide bodies. Like, is it tough to follow the ball during the play?
Well, I mean, you go against different O-lines and different things like that. So, I mean, the size difference definitely is a little tougher, especially me being a little undersized. But, I mean, I always try to pretty much, like, based off watching film and stuff, different formations where the ball should be. And it's not really a guessing game or nothing like that. It's just, like, studying your opponent, But, yeah, sometimes behind the big O-lineman, I definitely do get a little bit confused and go the wrong way, but that's just part of the game. It's football, and then with RPOs now, it's definitely a big deal. So you definitely got to be on your P's and Q's.
And is it definitely challenging if it's just you and the running back one-on-one open field to really make that tackle?
Yeah. Well, I mean that's one of the most challenging parts of football. I mean, in the past I've been pretty good in that aspect. I didn't like the way that I missed a couple this year in the XFL, which I'm gonna work on this off season for sure. But I mean that's what you live for, one-on-one games on the line. Like, I mean, first downs on the line don't matter. Like you're out there with one other person who's gonna make the play.
Yeah. Who would drive you nuts to play against, Lamar Jackson or someone like a Drew Brees?
Lamar Jackson by far. It's just it's
too
like
much.
you can stop the run game, you can stop the pass game, but then you got to worry about him as well.
Yeah.
Like you can do everything perfectly, but then you also have to the factor of him running the ball after. Like it's just too much to really cover and go over. So like you got to have someone specific for each different job, but then you're going to be shorthanded somewhere else. So it's just a gamble when you go against quarterbacks like that.
Yeah, and now you play on the DC Defenders, which in my opinion, great defense. How was that experience? Because you guys looked like a great defense. You played the 3-1 St. Louis. You had a block punt, a pick six.
Yeah.
There's so many guys on your team that are putting up great stats. I thought your team 3-0 at home, almost the biggest crowds every time.
Yeah, I thought we defensively, I felt like we were definitely good. At home, we were definitely good. On the 2 away games, it was just some stuff that we needed to figure out that we didn't we didn't come to play those games. But I felt like we as a defense were definitely top in the league. I mean, our D line, like nobody was really running the ball on us like that besides that one game against Tampa. And then our DBs, they were always making plays, always on top of the receivers. So they wasn't giving them any room to breathe. And linebackers, we were just flying around, just picking up the pieces where everybody else left off. So, I mean, I felt like our defense was dominant, and we would have continued that if the season would have continued.
It would have been nice to see what would happen, like what the final ratings and stuff would have been for that XFL. And I think that, Vince he's a smart businessman, and
yeah,
I think the league would have went off, and it probably would have kept going for another 2 or 3 years, and I think it would have kept going. Since you played in all those different levels, you played in the XFL, you played in the pros, you played up in Canada. Is there a big difference between all those levels? I mean,
they all have their different rules, different ways of the game. Canada's a lot faster than any game I've ever played. You got the 20-second play clock. You got 3 downs. So it's like special teams is coming up fast. And then offense and defense, like if you can get 2 and outs, you're off the field.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And then in the NFL, it's a lot slower, but the game is fast in its own way as far as the thinking process. It was a lot faster up there because it's so much different. It's like a chess game. Like it's very complex in everything that you do when you're playing these different teams because they're always just trying to out game plan you, and the quarterbacks are on a whole different level, as you know, in the NFL. They know exactly what your coverage you're in on defense, what plays you're running, and all that. So they already have their hot reads exactly ready. And then in the XFL, the different rules. It was a new league. At first, we got the mics in everybody's helmet. It's just an adjustment period right there. But it was ball players all across the board in every position. So
yeah, there was.
Each league had its different little tweaks that made it unique in its own different way.
Well, Canada, you have to be pretty good as far as running side to side because aren't those fields like 65 yards wide?
Yeah, 65 yards wide, 120 long. So.
And now isn't the field goal isn't
in the front of the
end zone? Isn't that a little bit of a? Couldn't you possibly use that potentially as like a pick if you were a receiver?
Yeah, they use it all the time. That was one of my worst fears going up there was, what if I'm on TSN or SportsCenter running into that trying to cover somebody on offense?
Yeah, that'd be embarrassing.
Definitely. But,
I really don't understand it.
Yeah, but the CFL game has been here longer than any of these games.
That's true.
Any of these leagues. So they started. The football, you can say in a sense, because the league's been around for the longest. But it's just the different part, the different aspect of the CFL that's makes it unique.
Now, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but as far as your options you have going now, this is the big week for the NFL. You have the draft coming up, and after that, you have a bunch of free agents that could still sign. Do you have options? Like if you don't go to the NFL, if your phone doesn't ring for you, can you go back up to Canada if you wanted to?
Yeah, I've had some CFL teams call me in the last couple of weeks since the XFL season ended. So it's interest up there, but my main focus right now is getting back to the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. So
yeah, we wish you the best for that. We're hoping for you, man.
Now, how tough is that? Because you can't go in for workouts. You can't go into the facilities to actually sit down with the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that you have to just send out tape to every team in the NFL and hope for the best?
Well, most teams in the NFL should have the tape already.
Okay.
I think a lot of teams, they like bringing guys in to see them, which makes it kind of difficult right now with the COVID-19. The facilities aren't open for guys to bring in for free agency and all that stuff. So it's a little different right now. But I feel like they can sign guys at any time, and everybody's having meetings on Zoom and different stuff like that. They're different networks, so they can still go over plays and different things. It's just you're gonna have to have yourself physically ready because it's going to be a quick turnaround. It's probably not going to be OTAs or minicamp. So it's going to be going straight into training camp, and then you're just going to have to be ready and perform.
Yeah. Well, we thank you, Jameer, again, absolutely for coming on the show with us today. We love having people on like you to come on and just share an educational side of the game with us.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem. We hope you and your family stay safe during this crazy time.
I hope the phone rings for you this week and you get the opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Hope you guys stay safe as well.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thank you very much.
All right, you too. All right.
All right. So that was Jameer Thurman, XFL defender, DC Defenders. I don't know why he's not in the NFL, and we don't usually say that about a lot of athletes.
You look at this guy's tape. This guy he's just an animal. He plays the game right. He had 163 tackles up in the Canadian League.
Yeah. He had 83 combined tackles, a pick 6, a block punt. This guy's a good linebacker. And that's why I said to him, We don't usually toot people's horns like that. Sometimes we'll say it to be nice, but like legit, like this guy's stats, like I don't know why he's not at least on a practice squad. At least.
And you know what? You look at the draft. I mean, no one's really talking about linebackers coming out this year. You have Patrick Queen from LSU. You have Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. But
a lot of wide receivers mostly.
Yeah, like all you hear about is the quarterback talk is the biggest talk right now.
I feel like you could always use linebacker depth.
Absolutely, because you can use them on special teams, and that's a tough position to play. It really is. I mean, you're the quarterback of the defense. And like everything I've seen, I'm not a scout by no means, but everything I've seen, I mean, the guy should be definitely wearing an NFL jersey.
Yes, and again, we want to thank Jameer for coming on. We're hoping the best for him that the phone does ring. Some of the breaking headlines I think we could talk about today.
Oh, yeah.
Tight end Rob Gronkowski comes out of retirement, asks for a trade because he has 1 year left on his contract worth $10 million. Patriots trade him for a 4th-round pick to Tampa Bay.
Does that make them an automatic contender?
I said to Noah today, I said, on paper, that's a Super Bowl team right now. But what's funny is you could say this is the greatest team ever. But I feel like every year you have a team that is scary, that you say in our minds, that's the team that's going to win the Super Bowl, but then they don't win. So does it scare me because they're in my division? Yes. But every year we see a team that is loaded in a lineup and they don't win.
But the thing that's going to be concerning is the thing we just talked about with Jameer is there's no OTAs, there's nothing going on. So these guys aren't getting time to sit down and
get chemistry together too.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady just got kicked out of a park for going there and working out.
Yeah. Well, did you actually see a New York offered him a Florida baseball field to practice on, like the New York Yankees?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to get to a point where it's going to get crazy where these guys are going to have to start doing something again to do the workout.
I don't think the Bucs are going to suck this year. I think it's going to come down to them and the Saints, but you cannot rule out Atlanta. I know every year we say Atlanta's going to be good, but they got Todd Gurley now, so he's got a good running back. You got Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. But
this year there's going to be a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
I mean,
my thing with Tampa Bay though is, could Tampa Bay be really, really good? Absolutely. But I want to see a couple games then, because they could have that year where they're okay because it's their first year getting together. But I heard rumors, man, that the Buccaneers should go after Fournette because the Jags are trying to trade him. If they get a good running back in there with O.J. Howard, with Gronkowski, Mike Evans, Godwin,
they're loaded.
Goodwin, whatever.
They're loaded.
That team's loaded. They got a young, good defense.
The only concern I have is the offensive line.
I don't really know the offensive line. I don't know how well it is.
Jameis ran for his life last year, and that added to the interceptions. But this really absolutely changes everything in that division.
Yes, I think this is going to be a very competitive division. I was talking today about it. I said, I think out of all three of those teams, I think Carolina is going to be the worst. Not necessarily be bad, but the worst because you have a new head coach, a new quarterback, some new weapons. They lost weapons. Let some people walk. I think that's going to be the team with the biggest question mark on them. But you can never rule out Atlanta. Atlanta started off so bad last year, but got really hot at the end. I think Matt Ryan and Julio Jones is always a dual threat. Noah tried making this argument with me today. When they went to Super Bowl, Devontae Freeman was healthy, wasn't he? He was good. The past couple of years, Devontae Freeman has not been there.
No.
Because every year you draft him in fantasy thinking, okay, he's going to throw him, he's going to run, he's a little guy, and he gets injured.
And then they went to Gurley.
You can say Coleman's a good running back. He's not bad. I think he's more of a receiving back than anything. But Matt Ryan now has
Coleman's not there no more.
No, I know. Matt Ryan now has a good Russian running back, I believe.
If he stays healthy. Which it's been questioned. But if he can rely to have – he doesn't have to just throw now. You know what I mean? If Gurley stays healthy, they can run and throw because they got good weapons. Well, this is my favorite week of the year, really, when it comes to football because of the draft coming up. You look at all the mock drafts. You listen to all the rumors out there and all the reports. It's going to be a great, although I don't know if it's going to be great because of the way they're going to be doing it. They've already had a practice run and a practice draft run, and they had problems with the servers and stuff, and they had problems with GMs muting their phones, and everyone was talking over each other.
It's going to be interesting to see how everything happens with this draft.
I love the fact that you hear all these rumors already. You're talking about the Cowboys. They're saying about they might be trading the 17th pick, trading back. A lot of teams are talking about trading up.
Atlanta wants to get up, I heard.
They're talking about San Francisco is willing to trade the 13th and the 31st pick. New England is one of the ones that's looking for the 13th to move up to get Tua. Could you imagine New England with Tua T? That'd be awesome.
I mean, they don't really got weapons, but I mean, it'd be intriguing, definitely.
The 49ers, I mean, they're in talks to move Marquez Goodwin or whatever his name is, Godwin.
It's Goodwin. I like Goodwin. I think Goodwin's a good receiver.
They're looking to get rid of him.
And I'm shocked they're looking
to move out of the first round, which is crazy. But they don't have no second and third round picks. They're looking at.
I believe they have 2 first-round picks.
They do, the 13th and 31st.
I could see if you wanted to get rid of the 13th and get a second round, maybe possibly even 2 second rounds. I don't know why they'd want to get rid of Goodwin because they lost Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints. So you're taking weapons away from Garoppolo. I mean, you have Samuel, who had a pretty good year last year, and you still have Kittle. I thought I saw something about tight end with the 49ers, but it'd be intriguing. I guess if I had 2 first-round picks, I don't necessarily need him with how well your defense is to get 2 second-round picks because you could draft 2 defensive players because they lost some defensive players.
They did. I can't think of that guy's name. I had a story in my head. That guy from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Fournette?
No, the defensive
player. Oh, the defensive end.
He got into a Twitter battle with the owner of the
he's
the
looking
Jags
to get
today.
traded, but they really haven't found anything. But they're completely rebuilding there.
I mean, they had a whole argument, and it was only 6 minutes long. So it was like someone wrote something, and they were sitting there waiting for the reply, and they replied back. But coming off a rookie deal, that's bad, man. To put your business on Twitter like that, and to see, every GM can see where you're coming from now.
But I heard there's a lot of bad relationships going on with their GM. He's cutting everybody loose.
They're getting rid of everybody.
And they want to build around Minshew. Now, Fournette has come out and said that he wants them to sign Cam Newton. Nothing against, he said nothing against Minshew, but I want the best talent there to win. So you're basically saying you don't want Minshew. But they're looking to trade Fournette. There's only like 2 people that are actually there from the original team because they're going to start rebuilding. They got rid of most of their defensive players. Over the past 3 years, we've seen that. They got rid of Bouye. They got rid of Ramsey. No quarterbacks there yet besides Minshew now.
Well, as I said, I have some notes here. The NFL did a test run in the draft. It failed miserably. The Cincinnati Bengals tried to make the first-round pick. It wouldn't submit. So it's going to be interesting of what goes on live on Thursday night. The Redskins are listening to offers for the number 2 pick overall. They're starting to realize now that they're more than one player away from getting to the playoffs, so they're going to try to actually build on their draft picks by getting rid of that number 2 pick.
The Redskins think they're 1 pick away?
No, they realize they're not 1 pick away.
Oh, they're not. No.
Yeah.
They need a lot of help.
They're going to try to accumulate a bunch of picks by trading out of that number 2 spot.
Didn't they sign someone on their defense this year that was pretty good that we talked about?
I have no idea. I don't follow them. Anyway, I said this in a text with Rudy, you, and Noah. The Giants have been doing extensive work on Justin Herbert. Daniel Jones could be done.
And you said, what was it, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions?
24 TDs, 12 picks.
I thought when he came in and replaced Eli, I thought he put a spark in that team.
Yeah, but my whole thing is, like I said in the text, they have a new head coach, Jason Witten. Jason Garrett's up there now as the offensive coordinator. He could be putting the fuel behind this fire and saying, look, Daniel Jones isn't the guy.
And we saw that last year with Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Everyone thought, no way, because he
got Rosen.
Because he was interviewed at college saying, if I had the number 1 pick, I would take him. He gets picked up by the Arizona Cardinals. Everyone's like, there's no way they're going to trade Rosen. Rosen, they just drafted in the first round last year. Why would they take another quarterback? Next thing you know, they take a quarterback. So it could happen.
And that's the one thing I wanted to ask Jameer, and I just thought of it now. How difficult is it when you're on a team, new coaches come in, and they change everything?
Yeah.
For him, it would be, say, if they're in a 4-3 defense, they go to a 3-4. How different is that? And how difficult is that to make those adjustments, especially in a time like now? I mean, you have the Cowboys who have a whole new coaching staff. The Giants have a new coaching staff. You can't work with the players.
Yeah.
You
can't get to know them or anything like that because everyone's
So
quarantine.
You're on a clean slate trying to rebuild this team to get them to the next level, and you can't work hands-on with them.
This has been one of the best off seasons that I've ever seen in a long time. You know, what's funny is every year
it's gonna get interesting.
Every year we talk about how it's a good season, but this year we had about 10 QBs. You know, Andy Dalton, Cam Newton, and Winston. They're saying you're gonna see them moved after the draft because everyone's gonna have what they have. You're gonna see teams that didn't get quarterbacks that they're gonna wanna. And after Andy Dalton released that, I know he's just throwing to his. He can still hit dimes. I think Andy Dalton. We talked about this last time. I think Andy Dalton should go to the Patriots. I think the Patriots should invest in him because I don't think he'll take a lot.
Well, they had a story out today about the best landing spot for Jameis.
Yeah.
And they said New England would be a really good spot for him. San Diego's another one.
I think he's gonna be a backup for a year. Not a year, but like I think he's gonna beat someone out. I think Cam will start, but I think Winston's gonna have to play backup for a couple games, and then whoever's playing sucks. He should go to Miami or something. Miami should take a risk on him.
Miami is looking to move up. They wanna.
Miami is looking for that quarterback to win now, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think they have some solid pieces that they picked up this year.
They have them.
They have 3 first-rounders.
They have them in the one mock taking Tua, and then you hear other reports where everyone's now leaning towards that Love kid.
Yeah.
His stock's going up.
I don't know. Love, that's an interesting case for me because his stats weren't that great. I think he had 21 interceptions.
But you look at Burrow. I mean, Burrow only had one good year, and he's going to be number 1 overall. I know everyone is basing
Haskins
this
only played 1 year, and like
it's a crapshoot, really.
I think Burrow. Don't get me wrong. I think Burrow's gonna be good.
But you're going to have a lot of teams like the Giants who are up there. You have the Redskins who are up there. You have the Lions up there. All these teams might be getting calls about, hey, we want to move up. Do you want to make a trade with us?
Yeah. Listen, there's at least 5 good quarterbacks out there that could change your franchise around, and I think some of those teams up on that list have a question mark around their quarterback right now. You know, the Lions. Lions, I feel like have been in like a weird mode the past like 10 years. Do we get rid of Stafford and give him to another team and draft a quarterback? The Bengals, you know, the Redskins and Giants are probably even thinking, do we want this guy as our franchise quarterback? Haskins, we've heard rumors that Ron Rivera, who knows if he wants Haskins.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. I think that he's talking about I think he's the one that wants another quarterback.
Yeah.
And they're in arguments because they want to go defense and he wants offense. And
I don't think that I got to see enough of Haskins. I mean, his first game, it was like he got put into a game. It wasn't like you're going to start. They put him into a game and he sucked.
But he got drafted because him and his son, the owner's son,
we know
were
that's
friends.
True? Do we know
that's
that's
the
true?
Story that's out there. They were friends.
Listen, Haskins played Ohio State and he played well. He broke records. So the kid can play. So I think you need to give another year. I mean, who do the Redskins really even have to help him out? You have a tight end in Reed who's injured every year. You have Adrian Peterson, who, don't take me wrong, Adrian Peterson's a good running back. Dice is injured every year. I feel bad for that guy. They really don't have any wide receiver weapons. Like, could you name a wide receiver in the Redskins right now? Probably not.
No.
So, like, really, who does the guy have to perform with? A 30-year-old running back, no tight end, and some low-end wide receivers. You're going to tell me you're going to base his performance off that when it's his first year in the league? I don't know. This draft's going to be interesting because I think you're going to see trades happen. I think you're going to see...
It's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces, especially tomorrow, the night before.
Yes.
You're going to hear a lot of rumors coming out about different teams doing different things.
I could see trades happening tomorrow for teams that are scared that you won't be able to communicate with other GMs on the actual draft day. So they might even be thinking, let's do the trades tomorrow.
Well, Peter King came out with his mock draft, and he has the Cowboys drafting back into the 31st spot, 49er spot, to pick up the center from Michigan, Cesar Ruiz, which I don't think that would be a good idea.
Why?
They don't need him. I mean, they got Connor McGovern, who was a center up at Penn State. You know, you got James Loney, who you just picked back up again. You have Connor Williams, who's willing to slide over to the center spot.
Dallas is now a first-round pick?
Yeah, 17. But they're looking to trade back into the first round.
So they have 2 first-round picks.
Yes, but I wouldn't do it for a center.
I would.
Yeah.
Here's why, though.
How's the team that they have?
Here's why. If you need it. If you don't, you don't. Because take the Saints instance. 2 years ago, the Saints had 2 first-round picks. They took Michael Thomas, I believe, and then they took Ramczyk, right tackle, who now is who's an all-star.
Yeah.
So you can. I don't know. I love drafting linemen if they can be the next Dallas offensive line.
We have holes on the defensive side of the ball. The offense, Dallas's offense ranked number 1 in yards and stuff like that last year. I don't think they're going to be hurting on that side of the ball. They need a slot receiver.
If Dallas got 2 first-round picks, That 17th pick, I take a quarterback.
No.
And then that 31st pick, take a defensive player.
I wouldn't take.
Why not? Everything that's going on with Dak.
The only way I would take a quarterback.
You're telling me if Tua wasn't there, the 17th pick, you wouldn't take him?
I don't know. I don't
you
know.
Got,
it's a big risk.
Let me ask you this: you heard the commissioner come out and say, with the number 17 pick, Dallas takes Tua. Would you be a little like, oh man?
I would be confused. I would be like, what's going on? Is there something behind the scenes that we're not hearing? Because if you do that, you're signing a player. If they do sign Dak, who's going to sit behind Dak for a couple years? So you're basically wasting a pick unless you're going to trade Tua later on to somebody else.
Unless you sign him to push Dak to sign, and then you trade Tua. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
But you can do that by picking up Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
For like $20 million.
Why not do that?
Pick up Jameis, put pressure on Dak to sign, and then you can always trade him. But there's a lot of scenarios. I mean, if Dallas goes Tua and knowing that Tua is not going to play next year, you got too many holes on the defense you got to fill. I mean, you have cornerbacks after next year that are going to be free agents.
Yeah, I heard a good thing on Pat McAfee's show where they were saying Tua is getting so much negativity by ESPN announcers that he's dropping out of a lot of drafts. Because you can't, at these times with the quarantine, you can't test these guys out with physicals and talk to them. But then there's the other side where they're saying, because they had Hasselback on. And they were saying, do you believe that this is that some ESPN reporters are saying this so that some of these lower teams get a chance to get him? And he said, absolutely. He said, you have reporters come out all the time who are in the loop with other teams that will come out and say negative stuff about a player so that he drops, and then you snag him.
Like I know New England wants him. They'll
they would. I think they would.
But
take him.
I don't know. Is he going to fall past Miami? Because Miami likes him, and Miami also likes Herbert.
I think Herbert is going to be the shocking one because
if the Giants pick up Herbert, that's going to throw this whole draft in a loop.
Yeah, because you have so many teams. It's Burrow and Tua, but Herbert now is making remember 2 years ago when it was Darnold's number one, and then right before watch Baker, and then all of a sudden Baker's number one pick.
No one's talking about from Georgia. He's a good quarterback too.
No one's talking about Jalen Hurts.
See, that would be a good quarterback for Dallas to pick up in the later rounds. You pick him up as a backup. And he sits on a team because Cooper Rush isn't. I mean, let's face it. If Dallas is 13-3 and Dak gets hurt, do you think they're bringing Cooper Rush in for the playoffs?
No, they're signing somebody.
No, they're gonna bring Tony Romo in with that freaking helicopter.
Yeah. What's funny is Saints have they're lower in there, like the 20th or something, 20 something.
But they're looking to move up too. They like that Love kid.
I don't. My thing is this: Saints are predicted to take a linebacker. If Jalen Hurts is there for the taking, take him, because I think that he is such an underrated guy right now. He performed so well at Oklahoma.
I'll tell you who I'm concerned about. I'm always watching the Eagles, and that GM Howie Roseman came out and then he said that they're absolutely loving CeeDee Lamb. This is per the Fanatic down there, yeah. And he said good. All the mock drafts have Philly taking a receiver.
They need it.
They have ties to Ruggs. Ruggs is freaking a beast.
Well, didn't they lose Aguilar and oh man, who's the older guy that they lost?
Oh, I know you're talking about. He was hurt. I don't know if he's coming back or not. Jackson.
No,
Deshaun Jackson.
No, not Deshaun Jackson. It's the other one.
Deshaun Jeffries?
Yeah, he's gone too.
But this says the Eagles, they will trade out of the number 21 spot if both of those guys are gone. CeeDee Lamb and Ruggs. They have Ruggs falling all the way down to the Eagles in most mock drafts.
What's that other one, Judy?
Yeah, he won't be there. Jordan.
He's quick. Yeah. He's real quick.
But the NFL is supposed to release their schedule May 9th, and they're talking about playing in front of some kind of a semi crowd or no crowds.
Yeah, it's gonna suck if there's no crowds.
Yeah,
I think Dallas should take it. As much as you want defense, I think if say like a Judy or Lamb's there, you take him.
No, but see, there's a lot of people
you can get in the second round.
Well, there's a lot of receivers in this draft that aren't gonna get drafted. There's gonna be a lot of free agents on that Saturday. A lot of undrafted free agents.
I feel like it'd be tough, man, just to be a GM and a coach thinking who you want. Because like if Judy was there for 17th, somehow he dropped 17th. He's a great receiver.
Well, they had Dallas tied to the Jets' Jamal Adams, trading their 17th pick plus more to get Jamal Adams.
And I told you I would take him.
Well, the Cowboys had a press conference today, and that was one of the questions asked. They can't mention names because it's tampering, but they said, would you be willing to trade that pick for a player right now on an NFL roster? and they said no, they don't want to go down that road because they don't want to take that pick where they could pick someone up and stay under the cap basically because it's cheaper to have that player than to pick up someone who's going to want more money. And speaking of more money, Jamal Adams came out, and this is per Adam Scheffler, came out today and said he doesn't not only does he want to be paid the highest safety in the NFL, he wants to be the highest Jet on the Jets roster.
I deserve
so
it.
That's more than C.J. Mosley that's on that team, who's making $17.5 million. I cannot see anyone paying a safety $17 million.
Because you look at the Jets roster, who's better than Jamal Adams?
Dude, you can't. I don't care. He's a great safety. Don't get me wrong, and he's young, and he already has 2 years left on his deal. So we would pick him up, but he's already saying he's going to hold out.
Yeah.
So you have a guy you have control over for 2 years, but isn't going to play. He ain't worth $17 million.
My thing is
You can't build championship teams giving in to people like this.
No, my thing is, I don't think these athletes should be getting paid this much. I do think Jamal Adams is the best Jet right now and one of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah.
But what's funny is there's so many people that are paid so much that someone's gonna pay him that money, and it sucks. Like you said, the Jets, who are a team that are looking to like rebuild. If you pay one guy that much money, you're not gonna rebuild. You're gonna end up trading that guy.
Yeah. Well,
so I mean, if I had the option right now, another thing too is I hate these athletes that are coming out and saying, "I got 2 years left on my contract. Let me sit out." You signed that contract. Finish that contract.
Yeah.
If I was the Jets right now, I would look possibly right now. Who could I trade Jamal Adams for? Can I get a first-round pick and a second-round pick in this year's draft?
That's steep, man. That's steep.
I mean, at least a first and a third. If you can get a first and a third, you're rebuilding and saving money for a guy that wants the most extension you can get.
Well, Dallas last year offered Anthony Brown a second and a fourth, I believe, and they turned that down.
Yeah.
I just you can't mortgage your team. Give away all these draft picks for a player who you're going to have to then extend for $17 million. You can't build a championship team like that.
I would say that if Dallas had the money to sign Dak and to trade for Jamal Adams and extend him, I would do it.
Money. Dallas does not have the money.
I know. It says they don't. I wouldn't do it.
Dallas, you're going to be signing Dak to a long-term, well, not long-term, but he's going to be one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the league.
And I'm not even going to get into that because Dak's annoying because Dallas has offered Dak such good contracts.
Yeah.
Right now,
$35 a year.
The offer on the
guaranteed.
table. The offer on the table right now will make him the highest-paid quarterback in the league, which he doesn't deserve.
I'm not saying Dak in the NFL.
I'm not saying Dak is a bad player. He's a good player, and I like him with Dallas. But what he is doing right now is changing my view on him.
Well, I had this whole conversation when we were making dinner downstairs with Noah. You can't pay a guy. You can't make him the highest-paid player in football if he's not the best player in football. I'm sorry. You can't.
You're telling me he's better than Mahomes, Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, like all these players you could name.
And if you continue, like Dallas, they screwed up. They gave in to D-Law. He's like, screw it. I won't get my surgery. You're going to pay me. You're going to pay. They paid him. Good. But still, you get into these big contracts, and then they gave in to Zeke. Right now they drew the line in the sand, and they're not budging on Dak.
You got a lot of guys on your team that want this money.
Yeah.
My thing with Dak that really offends me is, we've had athletes come on the show. And
we need some Scottie Pippins, man. 7 years, $18 million.
Yeah, for real. Last dance. No, but we have a lot of athletes that come on this podcast and they talk about, at the end of the day, these guys want their money. And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas has offered Dak a lot of money. Why aren't you taking it? Now, I get it. He wants, a 3-year deal so he can get under the whole new thing. But they are offering you money that people would die for. You are going to be paid the highest NFL player in the league, which you originally wanted to be. And it's just every time they offer him a new contract, he wants something different. And it's just annoying now at this point. And I told you from my opinion, at this point, if I was the coach, I'd be like, listen, either you're signing this or you're gone. That's just how, at the end of the day, is it worth going up and up and up and up until eventually you're bankrupt for one guy?
You can't. And if they don't get it done this year,
I think your team's young enough that you could easily replace Dak with another quarterback.
Yeah, we could. But if you don't pay him this year and you franchise tag next year, you're going to might as well just pay him the $40 a year because I think his number goes up to like 37 to 38 million for the franchise tag.
I could see Dak leaving Dallas 1 year.
But he hasn't signed his franchise tenure yet, so he's basically not a Cowboy right now.
I don't even know why he wouldn't sign it.
And that number went up today. It went up $5 million today. So it's now $31 million for this year.
We saw what happened with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins lived off that. Kirk Cousins made more money than if they would have just given him his contract.
Yeah. Well, in other news, since football is going to be kicking it off and taking up majority of it the next couple of days, good news for baseball, kind of. They came out with a report today saying that they're planning on using 3 states and putting 10 teams at each state. They're planning on using Florida, Texas, and Arizona. And they would put 10 teams at each state. There will be no American League, no National League. They'll just play 5 games. I think it's 5 games a day. And they'll use like minor league facilities.
One team would play 5 games a day?
No. The 10, you have 10 teams. You'll play 5 games. 5 times 2 is 10. So you'll play 5 games a day. And these teams will be using minor league facilities, major league facilities that are available in those states. Mm-hmm. My question is, what happens with the minor leaguers?
I don't think there's going to be a minor league system this year.
But you have to have some kind of a minor league system in case somebody gets hurt. Like, what are you going to do?
Listen, I don't know. I don't know what they're planning.
I mean, I can
understand. As much as I want an MLB season, I just don't see it happening. You're already talking about cutting certain MLB levels, minor league levels right now, because you can't do all of it.
I mean, if they use the spring training facilities, most of those facilities have like 4 or 5 fields, so you can have a main field for the major league players, and then you can have your farm system.
I guess there's enough fields that you could probably do like AAA and pros.
You're gonna have to do something because, like, what? I mean, unless you expand the rosters, I mean, what are you gonna do if somebody gets hurt?
Yeah, and they don't want to expand the rosters because then too many people are gonna be there. But the thing is, for those, say they cut AA and single A, how are those guys getting paid this year?
They're gonna probably cut like low A and single A. And
I don't know.
Down there.
I'm intrigued. I wish I could listen into one of the meetings.
But they're saying no fans.
Yeah, well, you have to expect that with how crazy, which I'd be okay with, honestly. If I could just watch baseball right now with no fans, I'd love it. It'd be like watching a college game.
Hey, I watched the other day on Bleacher Report, they had one of the Japan League games on. I watched it.
Yeah.
It was boring as hell, but I watched it. I mean, you could hear people talking in the dugouts.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I think that's cool, though. You get an inside scoop of what's going on.
Yeah, but you can't understand them. It's Japan.
No, I know that. Listen, I don't have the answers. I don't know how it's going to work.
Well, NASCAR's talking about in May opening up their facilities.
I could see NASCAR working.
No fans.
Yeah.
Golf is talking about coming back in May.
NBA, NASCAR, I feel like the easiest one.
NBA and hockey, there's still no plans for them.
I don't, at this point, like as much as, I think NBA and hockey will get screwed just because you're getting past playoffs now. It's like, why even start it? Like, let them just end it.
Well, college football, they're saying they can't start until the schools reopen, and then they're talking about a spring season, which really won't work because you're going to have college teams playing during the draft. So how are they going to draft players? I mean, you're going to have players that are like, yeah, I'm going to get drafted, so I'm not going to play the rest of my games.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things they got to think about.
I don't think you're going to see baseball this year. As much as I want it, I just don't think it's going to work. I think it could work.
It's going to be a
Listen,
short season.
We've seen, I know they are allowing states to open up on their own power, but you saw in Japan tried to open up in one day, and like the numbers tripled.
Well, the thing that scares me, and this is just to get onto the coronavirus a little bit, is the president gave power to the governors now.
Yeah, that's right.
And within one day, you had 2 states. You had Virginia, who said, okay, we're closed until June 10th, I believe. And then you had Florida, who opened up their beaches. And you have states like Georgia. Georgia is now saying by Friday, gyms, tattoo facilities.
That's just stupid.
All this stuff is going to start opening again. You have Texas, who now has opened up, I guess, certain parks, and it's alphabetical. So whatever day your letter of your alphabet falls under, those are the days you can go to the park.
I guess if your numbers are low, I guess you have to open up some stuff and at least see how it works, see if the numbers are still increasing, because I guess you can't just sit in home forever. I guess you got to see how it is.
We have to get back to work. But I mean, you have places that are actually it's getting violent. People are protesting, and it's getting crazy. Just here in Pennsylvania, I mean, yesterday we thought we were on the downslope. We only had 900 total new cases, and I think it was like 63 deaths yesterday. And then today the report comes out almost 1,300 new cases and almost 400 deaths. So the numbers are all over the place, and we're in a hot spot. You know, us in Montgomery County. You know, it's mind blowing how, I don't know, this crazy times that we're in with this whole virus. And the funny thing is that we were watching that movie downstairs from 2011, Contagious, and it's basically what's going on now.
Yeah, it was pretty good, but then I had to charge my phone for the podcast, so I came upstairs.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy times, and I hope everyone that's listening, we are praying for all of you guys
that you have a
that
job
y'all
and
stay
that you're
safe
financially being provided for, because it's tough out there.
And if we can give you just a little bit of entertainment, I'm glad we can.
Yeah.
But
we did just post a video on our YouTube about all the updated ways you can listen to our podcast, all the social media that we do use. So if you want to check that out, check that out.
We got some other guests coming on too. We have 2 in the wind right now. One is a quarterback, another one a baseball player possibly.
Yes.
We're getting new equipment.
Yes.
Should be here any day. So
moving up.
Either the podcast will get worse or it'll get better, depending on how the
I feel
equipment
like
works
this has
out.
been a good time. We've been getting a lot of athletes. They're sitting at home doing nothing. Almost at Trae Young.
Thursday? Oh yeah. I got
almost at Trae Young.
I got the whole Trae Young message on my phone. I almost flipped out because I got a random text message, and then I said, "Who's this?" And he said Trae Young. I almost died.
Yeah, he got a hold of Trae Young, and then it turned into the community thing where they basically turn off their phone, and it turns into text this number to try and get a hold of him. But we got almost there. But we hope you guys do enjoy this. We're recording again. We didn't record the last interview because there was 4 people on and we didn't know how to work it all. But
we'll see how this one works out. It stopped at 31:20, and that was about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with you. I never had that problem with that phone. But we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We hope you and your families are staying safe during the coronavirus.
We might do on Thursday during the draft. We might have a couple people want to talk about draft picks if they want. Rudy, I know Rudy said he'll come on. I'm going to hit up IHeart and see how he wants to come on and see if he wants to talk about the Eagles, what he's hoping they draft. We can maybe reach out to Preston just to get a feel for what everyone's looking for the draft, hope what their team's going to do for them.
Yeah. We hope you guys stay safe, and we'll see you next time.